Stan Stanislas, a world-class boxer and an even better guy, has been savagely gunned down. Shot once in the head at point-blank range with a Colt 45 handgun. Stan's friends and family stunned. His mother heartbroken.
What did Stan do to him in order for Stan to deserve to die?
When cops corner the killer, they're shocked. He's a friend of Stan's, a former sparring partner, Daryl Telesme. Surprisingly, the boxer surrendered without a fight.
He gave himself up willingly so that nobody else was injured. I'm thankful for that.
Cops say Telesme and Stan spent the night out on the town together. Daryl actually picked him up. Sometime that night, things got heated. Telesme challenged Stan to a fight, and fist flew.
According to the witnesses, the suspect had been egging on the victim to fight him, either in the ring or in any other way. And the victim was reluctant to do that. The victim did not want to fight him in the ring or otherwise. And eventually, from what I understand, the suspect pushed the victim too far, and eventually they had a physical altercation down in West Palm Beach.
Stan was a much better fighter and ended things fast. But the fuse had been lit, and Telesme was a ticking human time bomb. Stan headed home.
Stan said, "This is it, we're done, it's finished." We put that rivalry to bed.
When everyone went their separate ways and Stan was locked up tight inside his Palm Beach Shores home, he thought all the drama was over, squashed. But little did he know, it wasn't. Because a few hours later, around 4 a.m., Daryl came back, knocking on Stan's apartment door in the dark hours of Thanksgiving morning.
It's my estimation, and from what I've been told by witnesses, that the suspect was still angry and went home and got a gun and came back and decided to finish things.
I got the call from people that were on the scene.
What did the person on the other end of the line say?
Stan's dead. Stan's dead. He got shot in the head.
Dave Luter introduced Stan and Daryl at his gym in West Palm.
I first met Daryl in probably 2010, and he was training at another local gym. Eventually he came over, and Stanley sparred him the first 2 rounds, and I had to stop the sparring. Stanley, I think he knocked him down 4 or 5 times.
And the bitter rivalry was born. This rivalry was?
It was in Daryl's head. There was no rivalry. Like, the only person in the world who thought he was better than Stanley was Daryl.
You said that this was basically Daryl's situation. They didn't share an issue with one another.
No. You know, Daryl kept stepping up to Stan as if he were, a tough guy. You know, he was calling Stan out time and time again. Stan just wouldn't have anything to do with it.
Daryl potentially saw Stan as someone that he needed to eliminate in order to have a shot at what it was that he was hoping for.
Sports psychologist Dr. Sari Shepard never treated Daryl Telesme, but says his actions indicate he was desperate to beat Stan any way he could, especially after Stan slapped him around earlier that night.
Rivalry and competition are not new to sport, and there's nothing inherently negative about rivalry and competition in sport. As a matter of fact, it can spur competitors on to do their best and can raise the level of competition across the board. There was a lot of that adrenaline going on in the barroom scene and in the fights that followed. And so perhaps what happened with Daryl was that he was overtaken in that moment, and then when the moment subsided and he was able to calm down, he was faced with the significant regret.
The so-called rivalry that went too far was finally over. And the man who seemed to always want to win will still likely end up losing. Cops say Daryl waited at his West Palm Beach home to be cuffed and carted away. And according to police reports, the gun and his clothes, stained with Stan's blood, were also still inside. And Daryl was saying all this as he was confessing to the crime.
I will never understand how you go from, somebody getting the best of you to making the decision that shooting him in the head is the best option. Like, what makes that a good idea?
The family has no idea how to deal with their loss. The pain is still very fresh. but they wonder if they will ever find peace.
I can't even put into words. It just feels like you're suffocating all the time. That's how I can describe it.
It was just, I went on his Facebook page and I was reading all the comments, just paragraphs and paragraphs of everything, how he's touched people. Everybody was just like, no, I read quite a way down and I didn't see any negative at all, nothing. He was just a good person to everybody.
And they're the ones fighting now to keep Stan's memory alive.
What will you do to honor his legacy and his memory as you move forward in your life?
I guess work my hardest at everything I do, and I guess now I'm just extra motivated to be good at whatever I decide to do.
What do you want to say to Stan?
I want to tell to Stan, the body is gone, but the dream is still alive. I want to say, tell Stan, you are still a champion, and we'll never forget you.
Mom, what would you say to him if you could?
If I could, I would tell Stan, I will never forget you. My love, my first child. Never forget you. You're not around to help me as much as you can. You always come to help me when I'm stuck on the road. Stan, if I keep saying how much I'm going to miss you, I can take the whole night and I can take another day just to say, Stan, how much I love you. Stan, I love you. Stan, I love you. Stan, I would never stop to love you.
Daryl Telesme is charged with first-degree murder with a firearm. He told police the night of the shooting was not premeditated, but rather an alcohol-fueled blur. Telesme is being held in jail without bail.